YouTube Nation, Midfit TV, aka Me TV, aka don't you talk about my Sony. Come on, son. Seriously, don't talk about, look, if anyone had a problem with me talking about the PS4 for 15 seconds, well, you really not gonna like what I had to say today. Matter of fact, don't even watch the video as far as I'm concerned. But we will get into it today. Right now, I want to start with Sony. We're gonna talk about, as you can see the title, next gen systems. But I want to start with Sony, and I want to go back, all right, to when this PS4 conference actually happened. And I want to talk about this because, number one, you can't have a PS4 conference if you don't show the PS4. You don't, all right? I'm not going to harp on it too much. You just show the controller. I'm not going to harp on it too much. But I'll rewind back a little bit further than that, all right? Because 3 weeks before the conference, I was reading forums, right? And Sony fans were saying how when the PS4 comes out, they already have their money. They're going to buy it. And they're going to pre-order the first day that they announce it and everything. I'm thinking to myself, you haven't seen the system. You haven't seen the specs. You haven't seen the controllers. You haven't seen the features. Hell, they could give you a brick in a box and already you're ready to pay for it. This makes no sense to me. None whatsoever. Like I said, I'm not going to harp on the fact that they didn't show it too much. But the conference was nothing but full of trolling. That's what Sony did. They trolled fans. We'll just show you the controller. But it wasn't just Sony. All right, let's get this straight. Square Enix, they trolled. They came out and made an announcement of an announcement. You know, we're going to announce today that we're going to announce something at E3. Seriously? That's what you did. That's exactly what Square did. There's a reason why Iwata just left Square Enix. There's a reason, all right? Then you had Blizzard come out and give Diablo 3 out, all right? Oh, it's coming to the PS4. Ooh, it's coming to the PS4. And guess what? Pissed off PC fans. And then on top of it, we found out that Diablo 3 won't have cross-platform play. Next gen, huh? Just saying, next gen. Anyways, then let's get the Watch Dogs. All right, let's be honest here. Watch Dogs looks great. As far as I'm concerned, it looks great. It is Ubisoft, so you got to be careful with them because you know I like to milk stuff. And you know, possibly there's talks of always online connection. There's also talks of the game that they showed at the conference. All right, wasn't even run on the PS4. It was run on a PC. So I'm not understanding how you can have a conference for the PS4 and have all this trolling going on and fans eating it up with a spoon. Eating it up with a spoon. Killzone Shadowfall. We're going to talk about this right now. All right? Killzone Shadowfall. A lot of people say, oh, Killzone looked great. It's amazing. The PS4 has so many graphics. Killzone Shadowfall was ran at 30 frames per second. Not even 60. For an FPS for a next generation console. Something's not making sense, right? But that's not all. No. Let's talk about Sony because I know a lot of people are Sony fanboys and I understand they can't be objective and be a fan at the same time for some odd reason. There's some type of extreme thing here going on which makes no sense to me. But you have to understand why people are being skeptical of Sony. In the past, we have seen, I'm not even going to go to the PS3 yet, all right? Let's go back more. Let's start with the PS2. Talk about the drays, all right? Disk read errors, all right? PS1 had a couple problems. I'm sure the same thing. You know, some of you guys knew that. Then we knew the PS3. We knew that they tried to say, you know, well, we're going to give you all these features, and they start taking it away slowly but surely. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, okay? But here's the biggest thing that I've been talking about for quite a while, have I not? And it's about emulation, all right? So for those who don't know, Sony emulation, Capcom, versus SNK 2 for the PS2. A lot of people are pissed off, right? And one gamer says, it's impossible for Sony to emulate the PS2 to play my Capcom vs. SNK 2 game disc, right? They can't do that. But it is possible for them to emulate the PS2 for a separate purchase. And I'm not trying to hear it's a different type of system. I'm not trying to hear it. We even know with the PS4, it's not going to do but so much anyway. Same with the Xbox. I mean, all of these are it's going to be a problem, all right? And I know fanboys love to say, well, I don't want the system to play the past games, you know what I mean? I want to be able to play the games of today. Who wants to play the past games? You do realize that people still play the past games, right? It's nuggets and diamonds this is why they keep bringing them back out, because they were so good back then. So you're going to tell me you're okay with spending for the game, again, if you already have it? That makes no sense. That's stupid. The company isn't trying to accommodate your needs. And I say that as a consumer. You know what I mean? It's not wants, it's needs. Because when you're paying for something like that, as we all know, you go online, a PC or whatever, you can get the emulator just like that, and that's it. And we'll talk about that because PS2 Classics now, the emulator has been hacked. That's right. I will put the link in the info bar for you guys for that. It's just crazy that this stuff can be done. It just goes to show you that it doesn't matter. There's always a workaround, even though you try to prohibit certain things. It's been the beginning of time. Prohibition, alcohol, has it not? It's the same thing. You find workarounds, and when people find workarounds, then all of a sudden, they're criminals. Why don't you just listen to what the people want? Why must you make it so hard? I don't understand this. But that's not all. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit because this was the big thing, last time I did a gaming video about the PS4 and, it blocking used games. That's right. So let's talk about this now, to the forefront. Let's bring it and show you the link exactly about blocking used games and actually what Sony themselves has said about it. Regarding the article from Screw Attack, during a recent interview with GameSpot, the boss of Sony Worldwide Studios, Yoshida, discussed more details regarding the subject of used games and the PS4. While in past interviews, he stated the PS4 will not block used games. He teased the tech to do so does exist in the console itself. The feature would be entirely optional and left up to the individual publishers. They decide who want to use it for their games. Sony has said they would not be using the feature for any game they developed for the PS4, meaning first-party games, but the feature would work similar to the online pass system, which uses activation codes as a way to lock a disc to the individual user or account, but in a larger scale. Instead of locking out the game's multiplayer, the entire game itself would be locked out if the game is detected as a used copy. And his answer was, it's a publisher's decision. We are not talking about it. Sorry. But that's not all. No. Now, if you go to Sony's blog, there was more to this because there was more about the online pass greed going on. And gamers actually went against what was going on and asked them and challenged them why they need to do so, because now they were locking out skins and making you pay for it and things like that. And they said that there was more unlockables already, but they feel as though you should, if you want the other skins, you'll have to either pay for them or pay full price. Like I said, it's a very odd issue that's going on here with Sony, but this is nothing new from them. And there you have it, as promised, as delivered. I told you I would do this. I told you I'd give you the proof, and the link is in the info bar if you want to read more on it. But understand this, all right? This is to get third parties to jump on board with the PS4. And as we all know, before anybody says, oh, then a lot of third-party guys won't use it, a lot of companies, yes, they will. Look how many are already on board with the online pass this generation, okay? And a lot of you people, you're fans of certain developers, and do they not have the online pass? They do. Okay? What makes you think that it won't carry over to next generation? Don't be stupid. People have a right to be skeptical, especially when you're spending a lot of money on a console. You do. All right? So for anybody who tells you, you can't say that, don't listen to them. But I guess I'm still committing crimes against gaming, huh? Seriously, go write another blog and your long-winded speeches, nobody cares. At this point, there's still more that needs to be done because that's what I mean. Lack of focus, the bigger picture. So let's get into more of this, all right? Because now they're saying that the PS4 hardware is a low-end PC. Really? So we heard the same thing with the PS3, did we not? Did we not hear that as an advertising tactic, that the PS3 was a PC? And then people used that against them when they tried to sue them when they removed other OS. We've seen this time and time again. So now it's the same cycle of trying to sell this game, or this console, I should say. I'm sorry, this console. But understand that it's the same tactics. It's history repeating itself, and gamers, you have to smarten up. It's almost like a merry-go-round at this point. It really is. But there's more. The PS4 doesn't have a custom chip due to being a dev-focused design. So that means it should be easier to develop for, right? Because that was the complaint, this generation. I can't even say last generation. This generation, that the cell was too hard to understand, and that we were getting really bad ports on the PS3. Wasn't that? And then we saw developers who took their time and learned how to use it, and they shined with it. All right? So it goes to show you that developers were just being lazy. But now they have catered to the developers. It should be a lot easier to make games. Actually, should be cheaper, right? And it should be easier to make. But no. Because EA comes out and says the research and development for the PS4 will be at $100 million. Why? They've made it cheaper. They've made it, they've catered it to you. What is there to research and develop at this point? What is there? But that's not all. No, all right? Now they're saying the PS4 increased development cost is up 5 to 10% in an increase, okay? Now, I'm just going to go on a whim here and say that this is for graphics. I'm just going to say that because you have to be kidding me. The gameplay, as we see, we haven't seen that much innovative gameplay this generation. And a lot of people have been hooked to first-person shooters anyway. So whatever, you know what you're getting. But don't sit here and tell me that it's going to go up 5-10%, which means you're putting up more graphics. It means that the cost will go up, which means your games will go up. And everyone likes to say they like all these little shiny graphics, but you have to understand that is really driving up the price of cost. And when games don't sell, then you have companies saying, we didn't sell, we expected this, people didn't buy it, we're going to blame the gamers, and then, well, it must be to use games, so we got to do this. Or it's DRM, we got to do that. Always online connection. We have to find some way to stop the bleeding, instead of understanding they're causing the problem themselves. No one wants to hear that, though. You know what I mean? Let's keep going. Also, Japanese developers weigh in on the PS4. That's right, even more. And a lot of them aren't so hyped about it, but they say they will give it a shot. Nippon Ichi Software CEO says, to tell the truth, rather than the functions or specs of the PS4, I'm more interested in the timing of its release. The PS3 is still ripe as hardware and can still perform as an active console. I think for users and developers, it's a little too soon to release the PS4. So here we go, people, because we've been saying this for quite a while. And not only that, but now the developers are saying it. So you have to start asking yourselves, consumers, is this actually for the gamers? Or are they just trying to keep up with the trends or competition to get your money? And as we know, the PS3 is still viable of so much more. It has not been pushed to the limit. And I don't understand with this PS4 because some of these features are just ridiculous. Like, do you really need a friend online to play a game for you? Do you really need that? And I'll put it like this, because if they really wanted a friend to play with you, then why is it that this generation of games, we've had lack of split screen, or hubs, or local multiplayer? You know what I mean? If you want friends to play with you, that's what it's really about. See, they want to keep you online because they put so much money into these networks. So they want to make sure it succeeds. That's what it comes down to. They want control. And the thing is, you don't have to do that. Remember at one point, it was a couple months ago, gamers were saying if you hand your controller to another friend when playing a game, that's considered cheating. Remember that? So I don't understand how all of a sudden this is becoming such a big thing. So a couple months ago, it was considered cheating. Now it's okay. Look, it's always been okay. Anytime you decide you want to take turns playing a game, it's always been. It's been like that since the beginning of video games. But for people to actually try to make a big case and say it's cheating, oh, because he got the trophy and you didn't, who cares? The trophy means nothing. Nothing. And there's no bragging rights. Stop. This is what happens when you have gamers who really don't know what's going on. And like I said, lack of focus causes confusion, and it just keeps going. They will listen to anything that these companies will throw at them. It's kind of sad. You know what? I want to move on. I want to talk about the Xbox, the Durango, all right? Because the always online connection for this is just horrible. You've got to be kidding me. Always online connection? We've already have a problem with that with certain games that are always online. Now you want to throw out your entire system? I hope it fails. I hope it fails big. I really do. And it's not a knock against Xbox or any fans who are against Xbox, but Microsoft should know better than this. All right? This is what I mean about control. But that's not all. Because some others have written articles saying it can be a serious mistake for the Xbox, which I agree as well. But also, now that we know, the Durango is requiring full game installs. That's right. So you know what that means. We already know that development costs are going to go up, and they were just talking about the PS4, but I'm sure it's going to go up for the Xbox as well, because that's what companies do, right? That's going to go up. So that means the bigger the game is, it'll be a shorter game, but it'll be bigger because of, all the stuff that they have to do in graphics and technical aspects. And then it's going to be bigger on your hard drive. And then before you know it, they're going to come out with 1,000 different models like they did last year. Well, I keep saying last generation, this generation, all right, where you could buy a certain amount of gigs, this gigs, that gigs. And then what happened? Gamers had to turn around, just like myself, and go buy a bigger gig, you know what I mean, a bigger hard drive to install it into their PlayStation or their Xbox or whatever. This is going to be a problem. It really is. And before you know it, you're not going to have any more space. You'll have to get rid of something. At this point, why don't you just make games rentable instead of just buying them straight out? If you're going to do this, this is a horrible idea. You shouldn't do this. Full game installs, horrible. All right? It just is. It's wrong. And I'm not trying to hear it helps performance, and I'm not trying to hear that. All right? That's not what they're thinking at this time. That's not what they're thinking. Anyways, I want to keep talking about the Xbox Live because for those who don't know, a high-profile employee confirms that Xbox Live accounts have been hacked. People, once again, go and make sure to do the right things, the safety precautions that you need to make sure that you have your account and it is safe. All right? Just make sure. The link is in the info bar for you guys for this, okay? Also, Microsoft is giving out 1,600 MS points for those who were affected by a technical error. Once again, they can't even get this generation right, and you want to move on to the next generation. I'm not sold. I'm just not, all right? But I do want to move on to EA. Because EA, as we have known, because I believe a certain someone had said that, well, EA is proving you wrong, Vent. They're making you look stupid after what I said about them. And we all know what happened with SimCity, didn't we? So let's start with this. Because there's a bug in EA's Battlefield Play for Free that allows attackers to hijack players' PCs. That's right. That's just number one, all right? So if you play that game, please take the necessary precautions to save your stuff, your account. Now, that's not all, because EA Origins has an exploit that leaves gamers vulnerable to hackers. That's right. Once again, link will be in the info bar for that as well. You always want to go and try to sell Origins and say it's the best thing that you should have. And we know the Nintendo Wii said, look, Nintendo's like, nah. The Wii U, the Wii, like, nah, we're not going to have that. And what happened? EA all of a sudden started not doing that. It was like, all right, we're just going to give them less and less games. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, okay? Because it's getting on my nerves what EA has been pulling. But that's not all. EA has seen Battlefield 4. Now, anyone who has seen Battlefield 4, the 17-minute gameplay, I am not impressed. Unless you're, a fan of graphics, I'm not impressed. Half the scenes that you're watching aren't even interactive. But next generation, right? Next gen. It is a joke. It is nothing new. But yet, people will keep running to this. And I have to say this because we're going to see people who are, it's running on the PS4. Why would you want it for the PS3 then? I mean, if all these people are going to jump ship from PS3 to PS4, why would you bother to buy it for the PS3? If the PS4 is so much better than the PS3, if that's what they're selling you, right? That's what you want. You want the new hotness. You want the best thing out on the market, right? That's what they're trying to sell you. Yet, they want you to have it for the PS3. And I'll put it like this, because as we all know, the PC version is going to be superior, all right? Especially if you have the right graphics card and everything. We know this. And this is a problem. Let's not start fighting over what platform is better or what console or PC. Let's not start that, okay? But understand, PC will always run better. It just will, all right? Like I said, that's for graphics and things like that. But if it doesn't matter to you, then who cares? But all you hear, if you see comments, oh, it's the graphics and blah, 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 and fanboys are starting to eat this up once again. That is a damn shame. You've got to be kidding me. Look, I put it like this. I guess these gamers just forgot how DICE treated, gamers when Battlefield 3 came out, huh? When we saw all those bans, when we saw all those complaints, legit complaints on their forums, and they just went after them and didn't care what the gamers thought, the consumers thought, and they treat them like such trash. But I guess now, none of that matters now. Everything is forgiven because Battlefield 4 is around, huh? You've got to be kidding me. It is just sad to see the short memory spans of gamers these days. But that's not all, no, because I want to talk about this. EA says no to the Wii U on Battlefield 4. That's right. Now, mind you, they had it running at one point for what we're hearing, but this is what they say on it. They say, I think overall for me as a creative director, number one is to deliver a really great game and experience. Sometimes, at least for us, it's focus on what you do well and what you know well, and ensuring that you deliver something good than trying a bit too much. It says stretching yourself too thin and risking it. It says I'd rather play it safe, deliver something really good, and then look at it in the future and what could possibly be done than trying a bit too hard and failing. So let me get this straight, all right? You're saying no to the Wii U because you don't want to take a risk, but you're throwing it on the PS4, which you're saying that the development cost would be higher because you got to research it and see how it really works, even though Sony has made it already easier to develop for. Do you see what I'm saying here, people? It's lying. It's lying. That's what this is. How do you not see this? Oh my God. It's serious. This is what pisses me off about developers and people and publishers like EA. You know what I mean? There's no reason whatsoever that this should not be on the Wii U. It's just they're being spiteful because Nintendo and the whole Origins debacle. That's what it comes down to. It's all it comes down to. But we'll keep going because EA censors its own support number on its forums. That's right, over SimCity. That's right. Oh, no, that's not all. Because EA ended up lying, and a modder proves that SimCity can run offline. Because, that was the whole thing we had talked about before. They didn't want you to play offline. They didn't feel, they had 1,000 excuses on why you shouldn't play offline. And a modder found that you can play it online. And when that happened, EA came out and launched a free offline SimCity after the launch meltdown. That's right. After the meltdown, they decided, okay, now we'll give it to them. But that's not all. After they realized that always online DRM wasn't working, EA came out and said that the DRM is a failed dead-end strategy. That is damage control. That's what that is. They don't want to make themselves look bad, but it's too late now. So now, because they declare it's a dead-end strategy, we'll see how many other companies decide they'll fall in place at the same time. Because it didn't work for EA, so all of a sudden it means it doesn't work at all. We knew from the start it doesn't work at all, and you never listened. That's the problem. But that's not all. No. EA viral marketer gets banned from NeoGAF. That's right. So here we go again. Let me tell you, viral marketers, there's a problem. And this is, they sneak behind, and I'll say because it's us versus them, behind enemy lines. Okay, they get under there, they virally market, they troll, they do whatever, and they see who they can corrupt, or should I say, influence, to believe they're garbage. And then it starts to work, because stupid gamers are still buying this DLC crap. Can someone please explain to me why you would buy or download for free DLC to games that you don't have and don't plan on buying either at first or again? Someone will explain that to me? Because that makes no sense. See, this is the problem with gamers. They just consume, and don't think about what's going on. And this is a problem. But that's not all, because EA, as we all know, their CEO resigns. This is great that he resigned, but let's get something straight here, all right? Until EA cleans up their act, until they show that they're trying to change, it doesn't matter who's in charge, all right? Doesn't matter if they bring the old CEO back or not. You have to show something. Their reputation is so bad right now, it is ridiculous, all right? And that's not all, because there's a reason behind the CEO's resigning, all right? His resignation, I should say, because they talk about how it's financial challenges because he didn't know what he was doing and the shareholders got sick of him. That's what it comes down to. And he had stepped down. He was doing a horrible job. How many employees were lost? Remember the interview he did where he had a number of people, he had a number of guys quit, and people he were good friends with, and they lost their job, and yet they still kept trying to push forward on what was going on, even though those same things got other people fired. He didn't care. He's a horrible boss. He should have been gone a long time ago. He should have. But that's not all. Because now EA says they're including, as we all know, microtransactions in all their games, right? But that's not all. Because now we have, I don't understand. I understand that the media, like I said, you have to take it by case basis. But when you have guys writing articles that say EA's microtransactions will benefit gamers, that's crap, and you know it. You know that. There has been no proof in the entire time, like even in the comments in this article, people were saying, you're talking about benefits, but you're not showing anything. You're not showing us any proof of it. And that's the problem. It's all hearsay. It's all talking sideways. It's all rhetoric. That's what these guys do. If you really believe this, and this is part of the machine, what I keep telling you about getting behind enemy lines and trying to program gamers into actually believing this crap, you gotta be kidding me. Come on. All right, but let's keep going. Because EA says consumers are enjoying and embracing microtransactions. Really? So, If they say it, then it must be true, huh? See, this is what I don't understand. Remember about 2-3 years ago, I did a video about this? Remember? Right after DCUO, I did a video about this. And gamers, they got the panties up in such a bunch, they got mad at me and tried to take aim at me instead of going after EA when I said this is what they were going to do. That was, that's a rewind. Fast forward back to now. Look where we're at. I have never been wrong on these type of things because you can see where they're going. Back then, I even actually put the article link in the info bar. All right, so it's there. We knew this was coming, but it seems like other gamers didn't care at the time. And now it's too late to possibly stop it because, of course, like I said, if they say people are enjoying it and embracing it and they keep throwing out there, we're going to see, just like you saw not too long ago, idiots sucking it up. It's ridiculous, just eating it up. I cannot believe that we have to sit here and see this. It's hard to watch a community have such a bad downfall. Just is. But that's not all. No. Cliffy B the hypocrite. That's right. Comes out and says both sides shouldn't act like children. He's got a lot of nerve saying that. He really does. All right? He says he thinks that every game should have a steady stream of DLC. Every game. Really, Cliffy, whatever you want to call yourself. I'll put it like this. And for those who did not see what I said earlier on Twitter, because I want to talk about this, all right? Kojima posted up some pictures. There was 3 parties for developers last night, apparently. And he went to them, and it was Cliffy B was there. Was all these developers, people from Assassin's Creed and all this, and they are partying it up. So let me get this straight, all right? When you have games, now that you want steady streams of DLC, you want microtransactions, you have $100 million, for those who don't know, BioShock Infinite had a $100 million budget, and on top of it, $100 million for advertising. You've got online passes, you have season passes, you have control with DRM and always online in trying to stop used games. Are you going to sit here and tell me that at the end of all this, that used games is the problem? Are you really going to say you're hemorrhaging money, but you can have these lavish parties, 3 of them in one night, these lavish parties? Where's the money going to? That's what I want to know. It seems like these companies have all the money, but then as soon as you talk to them, oh, well, we're hurting for money because the product isn't selling. And then you turn around, you look at their fiscal year, or their quarter figures, and they're making a killing. They're always crying about how they don't have money, even though they have a ton of it. And I'm not trying to hear it's all integrated and it's all in different areas, it's all running through, it's seamless, because it's not. If these people were really hurting, there's no reason. And you can look at Kojima's Twitter feed, all right? All pictures. You can see it. Holding up big bottles and stuff and carrying. Stop. And these people think they're gods because of video games. Partying like rock stars over video games. It's pretty sad, but at the end of it all, when you have developers acting like this and publishers acting like this and companies who are just throwing out this money, it really does hurt the gamers when you look back in the history of gaming. It's sad to see how far we've come only to take so many steps back, to be quite honest. And I want to say this before I give you this last bit of news. With EA and the Wii U real quick, understand, EA has already come out and said that the Wii U isn't a next generation console. That's what they've said. So it should be easy to develop for. So when you lie about taking risks, you make yourself look really bad on top of everything else that we already know that I have covered with the PS4 and EA. Really bad. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And speaking of that, EA is up for the Worst Company Award again. Second time in a row. But people, it's this simple. Vote them. Vote them as the top. And if you ask me, I think Capcom should be at number 2 after everything that's happened. I really do. Anyways, I'll let y'all marinate on this. I'm done for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.